Hello there, welcome to Guitar Building with Glibas. Today, on this very shiny day, between today, as I promised, we are going to be working on our body. This will involve a lot of routing, a lot of templates, good stuff. Let's get to it. Our guitar body is exactly in the shape where we left off. So we went around it with a jigsaw and then we used a template to route it out. So it's in a very basic shape. There are no features at all. So what we are doing today is we are adding actually functional features. So what I have prepared here on the side is a lot of templates. So we will probably be doing them one by one, but let me give you a big overview of what we are going to be doing today. The first one is, well, I modified our big body template to include a control cavity, and I will go into detail how I designed it, what will happen there, and so on. And in addition to the control cavity, there are two other templates right here. So this one is for the backside to make a hole for a control cavity cover, and this is a template for a control cavity cover. They work together really well, so it snaps right in place, so just like that. And finally, what I want to do today is route the pickup cavities. This is a pickup template from my previous build. I just basically redid it. I had it in plywood, now I have it in my MDF, but that's very simple, very basic, nothing crazy here. So let's start with one of them. First off, I would really like to talk about control cavity, how I designed it, and how you can actually design your own control cavity for your purposes. So what we have happening here is my design on paper, the MDF template, and the body at the bottom. So this is actually just to clamp the paper. Now, the way I approach this design is, I guess, rather straightforward. So I just took my volume control knobs, so one will be volume, one will be tone for me, and I kind of place them in the places where I like them. So for example, tone goes here, volume goes here, then I have my three-way selector switch right here. So there is no way to put it like so let me just take the cap off and put it somewhere around here, and then we have our jack which goes right about there. So basically this is the way I approach it. The whole placement thing is actually quite funny if you ask me. So this line is our bridge line, 648 millimeters, our scale length. So I decided that I would like to put the volume pot right under the bridge, and at the same time I wanted all of them to be in a space where I could freely play the guitar, all of the picking, and it doesn't really get in the way, but at the same time it's in a comfortable position where I could easily toggle the volume or a three-way switch whenever I wanted. So this is the basic layout, and this is how I started, and this is essentially the first step. Design the layout the way you like it. There is no right or wrong way. All different guitar companies are doing it the way they like it. There are like 1 million different combinations, and with that setup I removed them. So I marked the holes, like the small dots where they're located, and then I just put them aside for the moment being. Let me just screw on the cap so that I don't lose it. I don't have extra. And as the next step, I took a compass and made these circles. Now, what do these circles mean? So you see, for every dot that we have here, there are two circles, and what they essentially mean is pots. So the inner circle means the distance that we actually need for our pot to sit in. So this is actually a clearance for our pot. So inner circle is, I think, What did I do it? 2 centimeters in diameter, so the inner part, and the outer one is a clearance for our cover. So I have a cover here, but I will explain it in a moment later. So we have our pot here, we have our pot here, we have our 3-way selector switch here. Because of its size, so it's actually a bit bigger, the clearance that I gave it is a bit bigger than for normal pots. So I gave it a clearance of 25 millimeters, if I remember correctly. But this is, all this means is when I'm going to put the electronics in, I'm not going to bump into walls and stuff like that. And the same for our jack. I gave it some clearance so that it can fit in very nicely. And then basically what I did is, okay, let me remove that. So I took the inner circles, so I took inner circles and I connected all of them. And this is how I got this first template. Then I added a few, like these little, I don't know, semicircles, where I would screw in the control cavity cover, and there's that. For outer circles, so all of those outer circles that gave me clearance of 5 millimeters, I use them to make these templates. So these two. This one goes right on, and you might see that it's a little bit bigger. So this is going to basically act as a place where we put our control cavity cover. And control cavity cover is basically the inverse of that. That was a lot of actually background work. I was not filming that process this much, but it's it's very simple. You just design it and then you make a ton of templates, 3 templates in this case. So this is how I made it. If you have any questions about that, just let me know. But then otherwise it's it's very much fun process of designing it. So yeah, here it's a little bit closer. Just to revamp it once again, 4 dots for my controls, and then just clearances for the installation of the pot and for the cover. That's it pretty much. And so with the design decisions out of the way and all of that explained, let's actually start routing. The first thing that I would like to do is I put the template on my guitar, make sure it's on the correct side, and kind of scribe the line of the template with a pencil. Now, why do I need that? So I need this because I actually would like to take my drill and go in a few places to remove the material as much as I can with the drill first, and then we will go in with the router. A router is perfect for making things perfect, but for removing the bulk of material I'm going to be using the drill. So you perhaps already know this process from the previous videos, so you might have noticed I'm using many time lapses, but that's actually a very nice way for you to see the whole process but not to spend too much time. So I'm going to go in with the drill in a few places, here, here, and so on, and remove the bulk of material for now. This kind of looks like cheese. So I'm going to start off with the drill with a Forstner bit to remove the bulk of material. Important point, I think I forgot to mention that this control cavity will be deep, but how deep? I would like to leave 5 millimeters off the top of the guitar so that I can install my pots, and I got this measurement from measuring my pots. So 5 millimeters is a very comfortable distance for them to grab on the wood and for me to be able to install all the electronics correctly. For yourself, if you have different electronics, feel free to just check, but for me I would like to leave 5 millimeters, and this is why I would like this control cavity to be 35 millimeters deep for now, because my body is about 40 millimeters. So I'm going to be constantly checking with my caliper to see if I'm on the correct depth. So I don't know, let's start somewhere here, and I want to make sure that I have nice clearance on all sides so that I can, don't do something wrong here. So it's right here. So just like that, like pay attention, see if everything's fine, you're not touching any of the sides, but look around. And just occasionally, mess things up. I like going with my caliper and check. So for now we're 20 and a half, so we have about 15 millimeters left to go. So let's dive in a bit deeper. So 34.5, that is good. That is totally good for now. I might go a bit deeper, but later on. So you just saw me do one hole of the correct thickness. We removed a lot of material, if you look there, a lot. So now enjoy the time lapse of me doing this 1000 more times. So we remove the bulk of material like that, and we can move on to the next step, which is putting on the template with the masking tape super glue trick, the best trick ever, and taking out the router and routing it. Yeah, it's quite windy today, just like yesterday. So yeah, but that's not going to stop us. When you're very familiar with the masking tape super glue trick, it's super nice trick. I'm thinking just to perhaps put one stripe in the center and then one stripe on the side, because we don't care about what's happening there. So you already know the drill. So as far as the routing goes, it's really all over this channel. There is nothing sophisticated about it. It's just a matter of putting the template, setting the router so that the bearing runs along the template, and routing it in a bunch of passes, taking small passes each time, getting deeper and deeper and deeper. So this was just one pass, but the nice thing about routing is that after one pass it leaves a groove that is deep enough that we can actually take off our template. Yep. We can actually take off the template, remove the masking tape super glue trick stuff. Nothing left, and now we have this groove that we can basically use as our template from now on, so we no longer need this one. So yeah, there's that. I'm going to be doing several passes until I reach the depth that we are looking for, so enjoy the time lapse of that. So this is what we have after a few passes. Isn't this just beautiful? I love that. Whether I will be using shielding paint or copper foil to shield this cavity later on, it's going to be a breeze because it's very smooth, it's very nice. Awesome. So with the control cavity sorted, I would like to give a bit attention to the control cavity plate, which we'll be covering. So what we have here is just a piece of ash. So I had offcuts from the body, you know, here and there. So I cut a little piece of ash off that, and I'm going to be using it to essentially cover the body. So it's gonna look great. It's the same type of wood. The grain pattern is a bit different, but I think it's going to look nice nevertheless. And this was the only piece that I had big enough that could actually cover this spot. So this is our small template, if you recall. This is our control plate. So now we have to make this in this shape. But the first thing that I have to address is that, you know, I cut it by hand, so it's not uniform thickness. So the technique that I used sometime before to give thickness to the headstock, I'm going to now use the same technique of putting a router, and then basically giving it a uniform thickness. So it took me unnecessarily long to make this router setup, but we're all set. These are pieces of ash, offcuts from the body. They are of the same thickness all over the place. They will be acting as our rails. So essentially what this is a router sled, DIY router sled. Takes, you know, too long to set up, but now we can finally route it out. So let's see how it works. So with the thickness sorted out, the only last thing that is left to do is actually give it the nice final shape. We're using the template to make this, and the router. What a surprise. So that's all very simple to do for the most part. Just run it along the edge. And so just like that, we sorted out the little control plate. So made from the same wood as the whole guitar, it's gonna look great. Now the last thing that is obviously left is this template number 3, which would go around and which would create housing for this control plate to sit in. That's a very snug fit. So let's do this next. I had to slightly raise the template because, well, my router jig is a bit thicker than I would want it to be, so it's 1 centimeter and my template is just 6 millimeters. And yeah, so basically I would like to make this 6 millimeter zip. That's why I had to raise it up. So measure cut. Other than that, let's do it. Now to the ultimate test. Will it fit? I'm not removing the template just yet because, you know, just in case it doesn't fit, you know, we have some way to go around it. But you know, it fits in the template. It's a very snug fit, and yes, it fits in just right. So this means we can now, yes, we can remove the template. Okay, this is, yep, there is a lot of masking tape super glue trick happening right there. So remove all that. Okay, this is looking great. So let me show you from the side. You might notice that there is just a tiny bit left. So just little, you know, millimeter, half a millimeter left. This is intentional because I would like to sand it flush with the rest of the guitar, and it's going to sit very nicely. So awesome. And I can actually pick it up, see what's inside. This is such a nice fit. It's like it's going in very nicely, but it's not wobbling around or anything. That's awesome. The last bit of routing that I would like to do today is, well, the pickup cavities. So you might see there are some drawings happening here. So this is our design, but what matters for us is the placement of the pickups. So let's talk about it for a moment. Important part in that would be the placement of the neck. So have my neck here, I figure out the placement, so just like so. And then this would again very much depend on every individual case and every individual guitar. In my case, I'm going to be installing it with the pickup rings, which are nice metal pickup rings, not the plastic ones, well, yet. So this line here is the end of the neck pocket, and I want the pickup ring to be right next to it. So these lines, you know, I marked the pickup rings. This line here is our 648 millimeter scale length, so the bridge will be somewhere around here. So basically I placed the pickups in such a way that the neck pickup is adjacent to the neck, so it will be right next to it, and the next pickup will be 5 centimeters from this one. So you already know in great detail the things that I will be doing, you know, removing the bulk of material with a drill, with a Forstner bead, then going in with a router to make it perfect. So let's just fast forward and, you know, enjoy this very quick and snappy process. So let me give you a bit of a closer look into what we got. 2 nicely done pickup cavities. This is kind of starting to look like a guitar. Well, that was quite a lot of routing today, huh? With that section, routing the pickup cavities, I would like to conclude today's part. So we have something that's starting to look like a guitar even more with every single day. So the body work, yeah, that was a big chunk of body work. We have our cover, nice and in place, and it's not even falling out, almost. It's a very nice fit. I think it's the best cover I've ever done, being the first one from wood actually. So in the next video I'm going to continue working on this neck, and we are going to set the terms of the neck in terms of the body, or in other words, we are going to work on the neck pocket, and we are going to make this guitar come together as never before. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, that's awesome. Stay tuned for more guitar building videos, and
See you next time.